Just shy 23. Strong 23. Couple bent ones here. Wobble. This one. This one's a little bent.
We're pleased with them. There's a feature on this disc that I want to show you if you buy mine or you buy somebody else's that you need to know, because you can screw up the rock shaft on these discs. And we've seen it happen. It's not necessarily a flaw in the disc. It's something that people do, and when they do it, it's a very major expense. So
Does it have to do with kind of that front
yes,
mechanism?
Yes.
Because there's a couple discs we ran into already where
it's twisted.
Yeah, bent.
Yep.
Actually, one we saw was re-welded.
Yep.
Boss weld on there. We were wondering what happened.
Those transport locks we took out, I've seen it every frickin' time, and I'm sorry to be so bold about it, but every frickin' time what causes this problem is guys take one out and forget the other one in and go to let the disc down. Now, 30 years ago we had tractors that only had 2,700 psi and about 14 to 20 gallons of flow. Wouldn't have been a problem, but these discs are heavy, and with these new products that pull it, we've got a hydraulic system that has got all kinds of girth, and what happens when you go to let that disc down, it just twists that rock shaft and it screws it up, and your disc is never going to just level again until you replace that. So you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about.
I see
I swear to God, this one is good.
Yeah, I kind of looked at that right away. It looks
it can be twisted up in no time. And what I'm talking about is right here. That support there, because right in this region, like I said, when you go to let this down, these cylinders are put so much pressure on it that it twists that whole apparatus up right there. Because this side wants to raise the disc, that side is lock solid, and it twists the rock shaft. And believe it or not, the company in the beginning wasn't sure why that was happening. And so we actually had several of them that we replaced under factory warranty. And then Landoll says, well, I think we just devised what the problem is. And when they did that, they changed the design a little bit, but they also no longer wanted a warranty any of them. So that's a huge deal. Matter of fact, when we sold these discs new, we started to paint those transport locks
orange or something like that. Yeah.
The best thing you can do when you're disconnecting from this disc, set it on the ground. Don't even put those in.
That's what we usually do too with because our disc, we're looking to replace the case for an 86.
Yeah.
You know, most of the time that thing usually just sets right on the ground.
Yeah.
Because they're always a pain in the butt to unhook, you know, when they're locked up like this. And
you can see this one was stored that way, and that's it's safer all along, but it reduces the potential for that to happen.
Yeah.
Because you just don't put those transport locks in. Now we obviously had to put them in when we brought it into town, so that's why they were clearly in there. But if you buy this disc, and I hope you do, when you get it home, paint those red so that you know where they're at. It's easier to see them. And yeah, here's one of them. Here's one of them right here. It's got a little bit of a weed. These are 1/4 inch thick blades, so well, I'll tell you what, it takes a lot of impact to get any kind of a twist in them, but they will work. I mean, there's no question that disc will go to the field. And,
I mean, really the biggest thing is, you know, not seeing that, you know, one of those shafts are bent or something, warped. Right. As long as it spins freely, you know.
Well, and this will take that kind of impact. But Landoll uses as heavy of and I think it's 1.5 inches or 1 3/4 inches, I don't know, but they use as heavy of a shaft as anybody on the market. The other neat thing that they do is they put these castellated nuts on
nuts
both sides.
Yep.
And the torque washer. That's another big thing, because if you do bend an arbor bolt, what generally happens with it is the blade becomes loose, and there's nothing there to take up that tension. So that this torsion washer will take up, maybe only 3-4 millimeters, but it's enough to keep everything tight so that your blades don't begin to turn on your arbor bolt. But Sunflower, when they went through a financial challenge in the 80s, was bought out by AGCO. And AGCO was trying to develop their CAT line of product. And so they came to Sunflower and said, we'd like to buy into your company, and then we're going to start building the Caterpillar disc. And they did that down in Beloit, Kansas. They started making the Sunflower disc, and they painted a group of them yellow to match their design. Well, that was all fine for a year or two, and then all of a sudden AGCO started to come to Sunflower and said, we want control of everything, all of your business. And the Myers family, and I know this because we were Sunflower dealers before we were Landoll dealers, the Myers family who was running it didn't like that. And so they got up and they walked out. 2 brothers and a son. They walked out and they went over to Marysville, Kansas, where Landoll is manufactured, and said, we can bring you a design and build you one heck of a disc. And so this disc, if you look at it, if it was sandblasted down to bare metal, you'd say, well, this kind of looks like a Sunflower, because there's a lot of similarities. Frame, webbed, and so forth. But Sunflower did not have the 2 nuts to start with. Sunflower had a little bit lighter design here in this, because that was a kind of a weakness on their Sunflower disc. And they weren't building their own harrow.
See, Gates, that's out of North Dakota.
Correct. And
they're heavy. That's my favorite. I can spin those gains and nothing stopping them.
Like I said, you'll see a little wave in the blades.
That one's got a little wave.
I wouldn't be concerned by the wave in the blades. What you're greasing is not the bearing. I mean, you're going to get virtually no grease in the bearing. You're greasing the housing around it so that bearing can move in there. Because without that, if that gets rusty, all of a sudden that bearing becomes extremely solid. And when you hit something, believe it or not, you hit something with this blade, that arbor bolt is going to flex a little bit, and you want them bearings to kind of move with that to absorb it and then sit back to the way they were. If they're solid, then you're going to bend your arbor bolt. Here's something else too, and this Sunflower had this because depending on the implement you're pulling it with, a lot of tractors have gone to 50-inch tires. You want this hitch to be pretty level if at all possible, and so they make this so that you can have a up position or a lower position so that your hitch remains level to the track. Sunflower had just a slotted hole here, and you loosen up the bolt and you slid it from one end to the other. Well, sometimes them bolts came loose on their own, and it would allow that to move up and down. All of a sudden your hitch was going through the field like this, because Landoll went to a system here where you take one bolt out, swing it around the other side, let your hitch back down. So it's a positive up or down position. Pretty good design. Now when you're doing that, you also have to raise this position here too.
Okay, yep.
So what it does is it allows you to change the levelness of the hitch so that it's either in the up position or the down position. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Most companies, including John Deere, doesn't have that system there. It's just a solid pull here, and then we have a cylinder in here or a turnbuckle, I should say, that we can level it. But all that does is really just change the pitch of your hitch. It doesn't bring the hitch up or down to level it as nice as this does. Hydraulics for tilt, obviously, is here. And then you have your single point depth control, which will work with any tractor. Deere has their own system where they have a touch set from inside the cab so that you can regulate how deep your disc goes, but it requires a new enough tractor to be able to operate that. And so with this, you just turn the crank.
It's just a manual. It must be just like a little.
It's a valve here that actually bypasses your hydraulics.
So you lower the disc that butts up
piston,
against that valve, then
and it bypasses your hydraulics. Now, if you're going through the field, and let's say you have a spot that you want a disc deeper, you just push your hydraulic forward, and it'll not a detent, but you just push it forward, and then it'll actually reactivate valve and allow the disc to go lower. But if you just use the detent itself, so if the disc comes down, when that trips, that's where your disc depth will be remained.
Well, here it is. Came up here to grab the manual. It's still in here yet. Look at it, read through it. Oh, it's got a couple books in here. Or no. Yeah, it's got 2 books in here. One might be a parts book, maybe. Who knows? Yeah, this came all the way from Yankton, South Dakota. The furthest away disc we looked at, it's out in Sioux Falls, towards the beginning of October, when I went around there looking at some discs, and went to Sioux Falls for a while since I was down that way, and then I was wondering if I should go to Yankton. The guy offered us a price to make it worthwhile my time coming down there. I came down there, I was probably down there for a couple hours looking at it, talking to him, and you know, not too bad, the disc. Not too bad. Only a couple things we saw with it. I guess one thing right now is this outside drag is set lower right now. I don't know why. I can tell he's set a lot lower. For these two, I have no idea. Or versus the other 3. Don't know why. Something loose or something, but can't see any cracks on it. Can't see anything bent really. I mean, all the harrows look straight. Couple wavy blades, couple maybe bent drags back here. These 2 bolts were missing. They were just missing. Nothing looked like it looked like they were just removed. But the dealer put them on, and this tire was flat. They sealed it up again. Looks like, I don't know if they put a tube in or put something or plugged it. Whatever they did, but it's full of air now. But other than that, though, I couldn't really see anything else wrong with it. I guess the wing things here, the wing locks right here, you know, it's broken. Same with that one's bent. Actually, one's missing here. Yeah, one's missing. But that's been, I've seen that on a lot of these other discs too. Same thing. So it's like nothing new. Guys forget to remove them or something, and they break. So, but everything looks solid and sound here. Nothing's bent here, nothing's broken, nothing's, you know, rubbed or anything, nothing's cracked that I can see. There was one disc that was in better shape than this one, but it was a lot more money and smaller. But yeah, this came all the way from Yankton though. I guess so far, a pretty pleasant experience with that dealership. So a big thank you to CMB Operations. Made it, yes, so far a very pleasant sale. Wasn't really much to it, and they delivered it up here for us. We didn't have to go get it. So yeah, I suppose so. What's with all the tape on here? Huh? Just noticed that. Oh, that was probably for transporting. Yeah, that was on the truck. They trailered it up here. Yeah, that's all that is. Yeah, it's showing on back of the truck. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, that must be either Gorilla Tape or T-Rex tape. I think it's T-Rex tape. Yeah, wind all the time here. It's just kind of crazy. But anyways, they brought it on a drop deck, so it was real easy to take off. Then nothing to it. But yeah, Landoll disc. It all depends how deep we go in places, but yeah, this should get make the T9 pull pretty good. So, but Like, even the hoses here, hoses all look good. Like, I haven't seen anything wrong with the hoses here. Another thing too, like everything looks good up here. So, yeah, good. 2 jacks, both jacks look good. Depends how deep we go to. I mean, the TG shouldn't hold us, you know, just gotta mind the depth. It depends what we're doing. But yeah, just for some light stuff, yeah, the TG could do it if we're in a pinch. But maybe the T9 will be pulling this disc though, more than likely. So it'd be like 3 feet more versus our old case disc, but heavier. Heavier. I forget what model year it is again. I think it's a 2013. I don't remember now. So many other discs in my head, I can't keep one from the other straight. Yeah, 2013 model. So yeah, I'll have to go through it some more, grease it, of course. Yeah, go through the manual. Usually like to do that. Rather go through the manuals out here by looking at the disc at the same time, but yeah, I'll just go through them in the house. Works fine. I get familiar with it. I mean, that's what I do. I just go through these things. I know some people don't care to look at them, but I don't know. I do just so I get familiar. So when I start using it, then it's like, okay, I know what to do, pretty much. Or take them along, I kind of familiar with it already then, and so if we're doing any adjustments or anything like that, I know exactly what to do or where to look in the book then. So easy peasy. Nothing to it then. So go do a few more things today yet, and yeah, I gotta work with the calves a little bit. Hay and straw. So talk to y'all later.